Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Grag's Go Raid. We're now on day 8 of our Gallcobar, Cryodon, Venomage, Farrakin download link from Vulcan. And I love the combination of champions. It's possibly been the easiest progression as far as getting through the various tasks. However, I have not progressed that quick because of a couple of reasons. I was really short playing time on days 2, 3 and 4. Life stuff getting in the way. Going out for a birthday meal with my best friend and preparing for moving house and all sorts of stuff. And then days 5 and 6, when I'm ploughing through the Arbiter missions, I got to the bit where I needed to acquire the last 2 pieces of Justicia, and I had a bit of a meh. So let's have a look at where we are. So as mentioned, this is where we are with the Arbiter missions. We just need to fuse Justicia. Now, we were almost ready to do this on day 5. We had got 2 of the pieces that just randomly dropped during campaign, and I had a ton of energy, 1,551 energy and some energy refills in the bank. And I thought I'll fly through those. We can start part 3, and I'm looking really good on the energy front. And then the game came and bit me in the ass. And by the time I got the War Maiden, which was the second of the 2 I was missing, I had used all my energy refills and I was down to my last 2 energy. So let's go and fuse these parts now. And I mean, it's not a bad time to do it because we are in the middle of the CVC event. So there's a few, I mean, we'll get a few points if nothing else. And there he is. So we can collect those bits. We can collect our Sacred Shard. And the next thing we need to do is upgrade a champion to rank 6, which we will start working on fairly shortly. So if we've had bad luck with our drops for the Arbiter missions, the opposite applies when it comes to our shard pools. Now, we started with Gallcobar and Cryodon, who I absolutely love. I mean, as a pairing from a download link, possibly my favourite mini link I've used. And as you might have seen in the first video, we pulled Elva Autumnborn from the first Sacred Shard that we pulled, that we busted. So that was an incredible start to the game. She has been fantastic in the games where I've matched up against people using the same download link, but more about that in a minute. Obviously, we picked up Valerie. Now, I haven't done much with yet in the Champion Chase event, but what is incredible is we got another legendary from a shard. We picked up Suzerain Katon, triple AoEs with attack all enemies, 30%, 35% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed, which is obviously up to a 50% chance once booked. We've got attacks all enemies, 70% chance, 100% once booked, to place 25% weaken, and also a 75% chance of a decreased defense buff. And then the one that's really crazy, attack all enemies, places 100% heal reduction, but once ascended removes his shield, block damage, unkillable, and then drops the heal reduction and cannot be resisted. Now, he's not going to slot into the team I've got, which is very much control orientated, but if I can find myself a good nuker at some point, he is going to be an absolute godsend alongside them, so I'm looking forward to using him. Also really cool, I really love the aesthetic of this guy, so he's a good looking champion in that respect. So yeah, really happy with that. I mean, particularly because, as you can see from this spreadsheet of my shard tracker, all of my Until Mercies are full because I've just pulled that, but I have only busted 8 ancient shards before I pulled that legendary, and obviously only the one sacred. And although my uncommon pull rate on mysteries is down, my rare pull rate is well above the average too. So really happy with how my champions have been pulled. So that feels really cool to have this many legendaries at this point in the game. Is something I've not encountered before, to be honest. I haven't had that sort of luck on previous accounts. So when it comes to Arena, this team has been really good. I have only dropped a handful of games and have been really strong in the effective mirror match against people using the same download link. Pelops is a lot less of an issue because Gallcobar stripping his magma shield makes a huge difference. Also, things like Nama or Corvus that used to be an issue, or if I do get petrification, the fact I've got two champions that strip debuffs means, although my battles are long because I don't have any nukers, I totally take control of the game as I am fighting most opponents. So we'll just jump in here and do this one just to give an example. God, that's a slow load. Okay, so the difference maker is Elva. The fact that she is providing healing every turn and a speed buff and the strip, you know, just makes a huge amount of difference. And the fact that we can then, because obviously their Gallcobar can take all those poisons off, but if we can hit the stun on there, which we have, then those poisons are going to stay. And then after that, it is just a case of nibbling their energy away. I kind of ignore Pelops and take out the periphery until it's just Pelops left, because he's going to try and put his magma shield on, and that's going to do nothing at this point in time. So I'm just going to nibble away at these. Or he's not going to put his magma shield on. Okay, that's different. We will reduce their turn meter down, and they will die. They will die even if we don't finish them off there. And then we can just take out that with a stun, with a freeze, I should say, not a stun. And again, the decreased turn meter from Phemo is devastating because you're freezing people down and they're just taking longer to get out and you're getting additional turns. As a team, although I lack some punch, these guys are absolutely kicking. I'll show you some stats in a second. But that's a fairly easy win. And that is pretty much how most of the battles go. Obviously, their team power was quite low. But even the ones that are around the same team power or even above, the battle is very much the same, just with different duration. So if I come back to the arena. And the one thing I have found is if you look at this chart here, this is our games in silver. Now, prior to this link that I'm using, Cryoden was there, but there was a lot more Nama with him, a lot more. But Gallcobar has completely changed. Pelops has always been around about 2/3 of the game, and as you can see in games when I've faced Pelops, I've got a 96% win rate. I've faced him in, I said, just over 2/3 of the games. But we've faced Cryoden and Gallcobar in just over 1/3 of the games, and again we are up in the 96%. Kale, pretty much as he was. He's the starting champion for lots of people. So you in silver, you tend to see him in a fair portion of the games. But the one that's really come up as well is with the Cryoden and Gallcobar, because the two people being used the most with alongside them is either Venomage or Ceres. So again, we're seeing them a lot higher up the frequency of appearance. The champions that cause me the most problems are a very quick Tholin, a very quick Farrakhan, and although he's not on here, Stoutus Dragonbane. The reason being they Tholin and Stoutus are force-based nukers, and if they can get in before me, or they get a Farrakhan to run them in en masse and take out my Elva, I can really struggle. So that is kind of where I have had the biggest issues. Now, overall, in Arena, he says, changing screen quite slowly. Overall in Arena, as you can see, my current team of Phemo, Gallcobar, Cryoden and Elva has a 92.86 win rate, and most of their defeats have come in gold. I'm just not ready for gold yet with all my dudes being 5-star. But I've still picked up a couple of wins, and surprisingly, I've picked up wins whilst in defence on gold against teams with a lot higher power. So as you can see, as well as the ones I showed in that chart, we've also got, you know, Gallic and Valorine, and one of the biggest issues, actually, weirdly, is Padraig. Although I'm seeing a lot less of him than I was a few weeks ago, there is a definite problem for me that he can strip stuff, and he's teamed up with Pelops. It can be problematic for me because the things that I do well don't work as well. As you can see, my gold situation is not quite as impressive. You know, I've got quite a few losses in there, but that's only to be expected at this stage of the game. So what's next on the account? Well, obviously, I'm going to need to work through the Arbiter missions a bit more. The next one is upgrade a champion to rank 6, which is kind of what I'm going to work on next, because I'm going to do it at the same time as possibly working through this. Now, we've got a fragment event at the moment for Kamir Skoldeye, and I really like both the way he looks and his kit. So there's 150 fragments available. We need 100. 20 of them are from tournament leaderboard. And I don't know if I have the bits I need to get through it all, but I'm certainly going to try, because we have already, to start off, we've got a Dragon tournament, a Gear Hunters event, and then a Gear Enhancement event that started just now. And then the next bits are Champion Training and Classic Arena, all of which I feel fairly good about being able to do. Especially being as if we look at our amounts needed, we don't need as much at this point in the game to complete compared to my other accounts. The amounts needed to get the fragments is a lot less. We've already got the Dragon one, and if I look at the events, I haven't started on the enhancement yet, but the Gear Hunters event, you know, just by doing bits and pieces, we are a third of the way there. So with a concerted effort, we can definitely get that. So that's the first thing. Obviously, 6-starring somebody is the next mission, Arbiter mission. So we're going to be doing a lot of food work, which again is going to help us accumulate points for the clan versus clan tournament. So lots of things coming together at the right time for us to sort of get the maximum usage out of our energy, but we don't have that much. We've got this here, I've got no energy refills, but I do have quite a few gems in the bank to purchase refills, so we're going to give that a go and see what happens. Right, catch you again in 7 days time.